Hey guys, Bowie here, and this is things I've learned with G.H. Skwyrath Mage in 7.16. As all of you know, I'm streaming high MMR pubs every single day, and if you want to make a part of it, tune in on Twitch 12 hours after this game gets online. This hero is insanely popular right now. The reason for it is the sheer damage output it gives for your team. With the right heroes, your Mystic Flare can reliably kill cores throughout the entire game, and in this replay in particular, he has an X, one of the preferred combinations of this patch. More often than not, you do play this hero as a position 4, so that's why he starts with the new Talisman and a Clarity. This hero usually gets 1 point in Arcane Bolt at level 1, and makes his mission to destroy one particular lane. While it is common to do it on one of the side lanes, if you check the match of this game, the Invoker is going to be facing a Kunkka. If you don't know, Kunkka obliterates Invoker in lane. While Invoker has decent base damage as the lane progresses, Kunkka has way too much harass with Tidebringer, and since he's a melee hero with a lot of base damage, it's very easy for him to deny the range creeps, since Invoker's projectile is not the fastest one. That allows him to get a huge experience advantage in lane, and eventually even kill Invoker when Kunkka gets level 6. What G.H. does is quite smart really. He wards between mid tier 1 and tier 2, but goes back to the offlane, making sure to harass the Lycan quite a bit with X as the bounties are about to spawn. Since Skwyrath Mage is that fast, he could potentially go back to the lane and kill the courier, but his own carry understands the plan, and since he's also a courier, he can go for it, which is super easy for him because of the ward. He easily TPs back to his lane, and GH, after helping bottom, decides to skew the odds a little bit in the mid lane. Note how he does it though. He engages, attacks an Arcane Bolts, takes the aggro away, and leaves, and then he just repeats it. Right now, very few Radiant creeps are dying, so Sky's presence is actually not a leeching experience here. When the creep wave pushes forward, GH stays here. He uses this time to get the Claric region going, knowing that it's almost impossible for the Kunkka to cancel it. Also note that as soon as Invoker gets level 2, he learns Cold Snap, and that's GH's Q to go back in. That was probably a kill with the Sunstrike landing, but still, a lot of harass being done. After that, GH just makes sure to use every ounce of mana he has and goes back to the base and he repeats it. It's very close to what Leshraks do, but in Sky's case you don't push the lane and you have way more cast range to do it. As he goes back to the fountain, look how he analyzes every single lane. He checks Invoker's items, Kunkka's, then bottom, Techies, his own Monkey King, Silencer, then top. He gets boots as his first item, and he goes bottom, since Lycan is way easier to harass than a hero like Lone Druid. In this lane, he also has the follow-up of the Monkey King. Lycan is a hero that relies on his laning stage way more than a Lone Druid, I would say. He wants to get that early helm of the Dominator, and a lot of the times he wants to be greedy in his skill build, getting more wolves instead of the HP regen aura. By harassing this lane, not only you can potentially delay the item power spikes, but you might also delay his damage potential. As soon as nighttime approaches, since Lycan was playing so far back and Monkey King was farming anyways, he decided to go mid. Kunkka is missing a good 20% HP, and Witch Doctor wanted to smoke towards him, so that's some great movements. Worth noting that since Kunkka didn't knew about GH being there, he only commits his concussive shot when he has Arcane Bolt range. The concussive shot might give away the gank, and that allows Kunkka to run with normal move speed for much more time, allowing him to maybe disengage or cause the dire heroes to take more damage since they are diving. By getting as close as possible with the reduced night vision, the enemy mid has very little time to react, and that's just an easy kill. Both supports make sure to command Kunkka, and as that happens, GH has vision of Silencer here, and this is an obvious gank. Lycan at this stage of the game has nothing to help his supports, and that's just another easy one for GH. That rotation also is timed perfectly at the 5-minute bounty time the Dire can secure in the bottom side of the map. This hero is quite greedy. He does solo Shrine here, but he made sure to check whether any cores also needed a regen, which they didn't. As I said, you want to have that mana at all stages to pressure lanes, and it's important to note that all his rotations to this point were made by foot. He saves the TP in case a dive happens, and that's something a lot of lower MMR players never think about. If they're low HP in the lane, they TP back to the fountain, and if they die, they TP to another tower. Higher MMR players will always check your inventory and where you TP to get the best engagements possible when you cannot be in another lane. Since he was able to approach Kunkka through this route, he goes in again. He knows that the enemy mid has a regen, so they definitely want to fully commit and get the kill, or else he's gonna be ready to fight again. And I want you to check his build, but not before checking how he approached that nighttime gank again. Concussive Shot has a 1600 radius, while Arcane Bolt has 800. GH though, to not give the gank away, and since it's nighttime, so Kunkka Kanka doesn't see him, especially when he's in the river and doesn't have high ground vision, commits both skills at the same time. The speed of the slow is very slow, so committing it at close range allows your team to chase him for longer and also to dive less as you try to get the kill. Going back to his build, if you play this hero as a support, you're not going to have farm. Not having farm means no bottle, no mana regen items, and no items in general. The way Arcane Bolt works is that it scales super hard with intelligence, which you will lack since you don't have that many levels and items. And it scales the more you survive through fights, since the longer you keep using the skill, the more damage you'll be able to deal. It's hard to do that as a support Skye, and that's why the usual build is pretty much tailored in maxing either the slow or the silence depending on the game and the matchups, but you will rarely see high MMR support Skies getting extra levels in Arcane Bolt before maxing the other skills. For instance, one Arcane Bolt level 1, if you're level 3 with these items, deals 92 damage. A level 2 Arcane Bolt deals 108, so you get 16 damage increase by 1 point. On the other hand, your slow goes from 70 to 140, which is an AoE slow. The cooldown reduction is way bigger, and it's also a skill that can be used from further away. As the mid and late game goes, it gets harder and harder to just get closer to the enemy to use your Arcane Bolt, which justifies maxing the slow most of the time. As GH rotates bottom, since as we talked about, he doesn't deal well with Lundrud, GH can spot the techies TPing top, which gives him 100% confidence going for the kill in this lane. Note though that before going, he checks the 6-minute rune, pings it for his mid, and then engages, knowing full well that now the Kanka TP mid after that kill, there's no help for this other lane. That being said, there's a lot of different builds that Skies go for. In this game in particular, where none of the cores on the Radiant side want to go for early BKBs, they also don't like building Mantas or Scepters, having an ATOS is amazing. It gives Skwyrath Mage a lot of kill potential even without the X, it sets up Sunstrikes, and it also makes you quite bulky. Sometimes you will see Skies going for Veil, and both are fine. Veil comes online earlier, but against heroes like Kanka with Bolt buff, LD, and Lycan that are mega fast, it's gonna be harder for you to actually have the control to land your Mystic Flares and land your skills. As I babble, GH is such a bro that he TPs mid without regening to try and save/get a counter kill on the mid dive. They do get the techies, but that was quite costly. As you can see, the Invoker is super close to the Midas, so saving him is very valuable even if GH needs to walk all the way back to the fountain and then walk somewhere else. GH is probably not happy with this though. GH, after seeing that Lundrud dies top, asks his Witch Doctor to TP and smoke with him towards the mid lane. After all, he doesn't have a TP, so the smoke allows him to be somewhere in the map faster. Unfortunately, Kanka and Silencer kill Invoker one more time before they get there. Still, let's watch how they approach this gank. They wait a bit, it looks like Silencer already moved somewhere else, and at this stage, GH still didn't use his slow. Only after the stun procs, he goes for it to have as much slow and chasing time as possible. Knowing that Kanka is dead, he also saves his mana and doesn't commit the silence without needing it. After all, this hero is very mana hungry early on. As he leaves the lane, the first thing he does is scout the rune, and he rotates bottom, knowing the Silencer is mid and that Kanka and techies are dead. Look how he takes a different angle to approach that lane since it's daytime. Giving him a beautiful kill, and also knowledge that Kanka TP bottom. Note that during all of it, he took precautions to not waste his clarity, and thanks to the Invis Witch Doctor and knowing that Bolt is on cooldown, they engage on that mid player once again. As he watches the turn animation, he makes sure to move. Kanka buys back, and GH created an insane amount of space early on, and that's what this hero is about. As you can see, he gets the level 3 slow at level 5, and another thing I didn't mention about maxing slow is that it gives you solo kill potential with Mystic Flare as well. The better slow allows you to maintain people on that AoE from Mystic Flare for longer, and that's pretty good. Since the game is chill for now, GH makes sure to use this empty lane his team doesn't seem to want to farm his level 6 and get closer to that Rod of ATOS. Pushing that lane also makes sure that it's awkward for Radiant to get the bounty runes. His Invoker, though, gets solo killed again, and even if he wanted to help, not only Kanka has too much burst and Skye has no saves, during the bounty room time, it's a net loss for his team if he TPs there and ignores the bounties, even if somehow he was able to save the Invoker. Unfortunately, as G8 had high ground vision of Lycan and Global gets used, he felt like he could go in, but Silencer was actually in that lane, and thanks to the help of the Dominator Center and Shapeshift, he gives away his first death. Not before buying the staff though, meaning he lost very little gold arenas. Remember, huge ultimates on cooldown, shapeshift and global. He also buys the tome. Witch Doctor is already level 6, so I agree. He's level 7, level 4 is low. And once again, GH does not TP out of the fountain. The only TP to a tower during the entire laning stage was that one TP when he had no mana and no HP, only to save that core. And that's very clear throughout this entire game. This hero is pretty Quap-like in the sense of being great at punishing dives, which Radiant could definitely go for. After all, they have Global, Lone Druid, Shapeshift, X marks the spot. Those heroes are all about dive. Kunkka is mid, but not only engaging is awkward as expected, he destroyed mid in his level 10, so that's not an easy kill by any means. A 5-star's bottom, and note how he doesn't TP. Yes, he can TP and maybe help, but he doesn't know even if he can get anything done. So he walks. This hero is fairly fast anyways. He ends up going for a suboptimal ult on Silencer though, but keep watching. It looks pretty bad right now. Witch Doctor died, Kunkka is fine, but here you can see why the slow is actually pretty good. After that happens, he remembers that at 12 minutes he was fighting bottom, so he makes sure to scout the runes. Usually, I wouldn't agree with this solo shrine, but since he has an Invis going for him, he could benefit from being full HP and mana and try to hunt someone. He makes sure to backpack all his stat items and he tries to find some. They also have a sentry mid, which gives him confidence being there. Also note how he uses the slow as two enemies are together. It slows both of them, setting up a beautiful Sunstrike on the LD, and thanks to the cask, Tech is never suicide. Yes, GH falls, but he buys his item before dying, which means he loses no gold. And there you go, 13-minute ATOS, ready to destroy some cores. Because of that early ATOS, as soon as GH respawns, even without having Mystic Flare, he can go for the Silencer kill. Another thing worth mentioning is the 3 clarities that he's carrying on him. ATOS is a great item, don't get me wrong. Great stats, but gives you no mana regen, which this hero really needs. You don't want to go back to base every time you get a kill, since you spend like 30% of your mana for each kill attempt. Those clarities are very important in maintaining your damage potential. And since most of the time you're either trying to go for a kill or walking from one point to another to get a kill, you actually benefit a lot from those clarities. They're not gonna get cancelled. GH created a lot of space, got a lot of kills, but this game is actually super clowny. After all, this is a techies game. I'm not an experienced techies player, and analyzing some of the deaths that happen here are not only a waste of time, since techies is a hero you rarely see in your pubs, but not the focus of this video, which is giving some insights on how to play a better Skwyrath mage in general. If there's one thing I can say for sure, is that GH played very aggressively. Yes, they're ahead, so that gives you the chance to do it, but I've seen a lot of Skywraths that during the mid game decide to farm an eggs by just jungling or just playing super passively, and that really hurts your team. His hero works because he's able to kill supports or cores until they have BKB, and those kills force rotations and it frees areas of the map for your cores. If you're the one farming your own jungle, not only you're wasting your damage potential and giving time for the enemy cores to farm BKBs and Glimmer Capes, you're also killing your cores since they'll be farming dangerous areas of the map by exclusion. As GH kills Silencer here, he quickly lays his eyes onto the Lone Druid. He knows that Kunkka and Lycan are bottom, so he makes sure to look for the LD until he finds it. Changing subject slightly, I'm a big fan of getting the move speed talent in this game. Not only do they have a lot of high move speed heroes, Arcane Bolt is the last skill GH is maxing, which means that intelligence at level 10 makes very little difference, especially when you have no mana regen items besides clarities. You can see that GH transitions instantly from that kill top towards the push bottom, and while he gets chased and killed by the Lycan, he trades his life for a core, and that happened frequently this game. And this is one of the many advantages this hero offers. Eventually, GH decides to work towards a new scepter. Not only he can buy time during shapeshift, dispel the roots from LD and techies, dispel the silence, and deal with X mark the spot combos, it gives you the juicy mana regen and some extra mobility this hero likes. Yes, he died a couple of times, but that was a Lycan committing necro and an ultimate to kill a lone support, while everyone else was able to scale. As his team is able to kill the Silencer that had global, by the way, GH commits the smoke to fight, since this is a great time to fight without that huge ultimate, and they eventually just win the game by getting a lot of pickups. Note that he doesn't even waste the ATOS here, since they already had a lot of control and Kunkka had BKB anyways. With that firm grasp in the early game, GH just wins the game with his team. Well guys, thanks for watching. It's a pleasure making videos for you guys, and as I already said, I'm streaming every single day, I'm casting high more pubs. If you enjoy the content that I do and if you want to keep supporting me, I would greatly appreciate any feedback on my streams. If you like this video, if you like the hero or the player that I talked about, please make sure to like or to dislike or to give feedback. That's the only way for me to know if I should keep on, talking about something or not, or using the same format or not. If you want to know what's happening in my life, follow me on Twitter. If you want to see me cast or play, follow me on Twitch. If you want some spoilers about my life or what's the next video, Instagram is the way to go. And if you want to talk with people that care about Dots and you're a crispy boy, join our Discord channel. There's a lot of cool people there. I'm pretty sure you're gonna have a good time. Thanks for watching, guys. It's always a pleasure. Bye.